Good day, and thank you for this opportunity to provide an informative but brief overview of the Communities Against Rabies initiative with a specific focus on our work currently being undertaken in South Africa. To understand rabies control in South Africa in general, we have to understand that in line with the Global Strategic Plan, the South African government developed their own National Strategic Plan for Rabies Elimination in 2021. And in order to ensure sustainability, the implementation of this National Strategic Plan is being led by the governmental stakeholders. But the question remains, where do the NGOs and other stakeholders fit into this National Strategic Plan and its implementation? We have to understand that just like any other programmatic activity, funding is limited. And as a result, it's not always possible for the government to reach all of the at-risk communities due to limited trained personnel, funding, and resources. And as a result, some communities do not benefit from any or perhaps an insufficient amount of animal health support. And this, colleagues, is typically where we see the NGOs appearing. And they are there to fill gaps in the communities that are being underserved. And what quite often happens is these NGOs support activities within communities the governments are unable to reach. They sometimes offer additional services that are not provided by the government, and they quite often supplement governmental efforts, helping the efforts go that extra mile. But they do this with limited or no governmental support. And what we quite often hear is the reasons behind this is there's just NGOs are relying on staff that are not adequately trained. Or the NGOs do not report the activities, so it's impossible to provide them with support. Or that there are just so many NGOs that it's difficult to know who's doing what, where, and who can be relied on for continued programmatic implementation. And as a result, these NGOs typically have limited time and resources to spare for things other than their community outreaches. For example, there's limited time or resources for the training of staff, for the use of software that helps them but quite often comes at a cost, limited opportunities for collaborative outreaches, and strategic fundraising or donor engagement is often left at the wayside. And as a result, the outreaches of these NGOs typically remain localized, and the impact, although significant, it largely goes unnoticed. And we believe that this is a limitation that can be overcome. And that is where the Communities Against Rabies initiative comes into play. This initiative attempts, at least, to overcome the limitations that NGOs face, but also highlight the pivotal role that they play in terms of rabies control and animal welfare in general. So in essence, or as an overarching look at things, the GARC initiative is helping to capacitate and mobilize NGOs towards improved animal welfare and rabies elimination. And what we are trying to do is to foster collaboration, quality work, standardized approaches, and the promotion of the work that is currently being done. So I just want to give you a very brief overview of the general approach to help you understand how the GARC initiative functions. As a first step, we have a challenge that despite doing great work, many NGOs go unnoticed. And our first step is to identify the stakeholders in the country regardless of their scale, that are working towards rabies elimination and animal welfare within their communities. And in essence, what we're trying to do is to build a list of stakeholders that can be capacitated and also identify which communities do they serve. Once we have these NGOs identified, and it's an ongoing process, the first step is to overcome one of the main limitations, and that is that NGOs typically rely on volunteers and well-meaning people that might not have the relevant knowledge and training that they require to allow them to function to the best of their abilities. And to overcome this limitation, what we are doing is we're providing the staff of these organizations with standardized quality, knowledge and training using our online education platform. And in so doing, we are recognizing those members that complete the educational training as dog health champions, saying that these staff members have been capacitated with the knowledge and information that they require to maximize the impact in their communities. But the benefits go beyond just the individual members of the NGOs, because we do still have a challenge that organizations typically capture data using paper-based forms and are then only able to keep that information for internal record keeping, which means they are not able to make data-driven decisions to help them further their impact at the community level. And to overcome this, organizations get access to GARC's free digital data collection tools that allows them to collect, visualize, and actually use the comprehensive data collected during dog vaccination, community education, and widespread sterilization activities. And this allows the NGOs to have access to data that they can use to make data-driven decisions and that they can share with other like-minded organizations in an effort to foster collaboration. And we have one third challenge to overcome, and that is how communities are educated. And what we've realized is that NGOs typically rely on whatever educational material they have access to. Might not be the most relevant, might not be in the most appropriate language, but that is what is available to them and they use it. And to overcome this, we give the NGOs access to our extensive resource bank that covers a plethora of topics. And if required, we can help these NGOs to develop new resources or to adapt existing resources to the language in which they require, which means that NGOs have fit-for-purpose educational materials that really fit the need within the communities that they serve. And what we're doing is that the organizations that implement the data collection tools and embrace the educational resources that are provided to them have been capacitated, and they become recognized as rabies centers of excellence. And this simply indicates that they are a reliable and valuable contributor to rabies elimination and animal welfare at the community level. And once they've been recognized as that rabies center of excellence, that pivotal player at the community level, they immediately benefit from communication and promotion via GARC with an international audience, sharing their story, the communities that they serve, and promoting the work that they're doing in order to ensure sustainability. And this is really just the start of the initiative, and I'll give an overview of the way forward, but I just wanted to give an overview of the progress thus far. And this initiative only started in August of 2023, so it's still relatively new. But we already have 6 officially recognized rabies centers of excellence in South Africa, and many more organizations currently working towards being recognized as a rabies center of excellence. And we might say, well, 6 organizations is not all that significant. But if we look at the communities that they serve, we realize that they serve a significant amount of communities. There's many communities benefiting from the empowerment provided to the organizations, and that means there's many animals benefiting from these organizations being able to work within the communities. But we've also seen through a small amount of promotion and empowerment that the existing rabies centers of excellence have already been able to serve additional communities without additional strain by linking them up with other community actors and putting them in contact with local government themselves. But this is not the end of it, because we have a vision and next steps for this initiative in South Africa. In the short term, we are developing additional educational courses, almost a continued development program for these rabies centers of excellence, allowing their staff to gain an extra level of knowledge and skills. We are also looking and working towards engaging more organizations so that we have an additional group of rabies centers of excellence to support and work with. And the biggest thing or next step is to initiate what we call the Partners for Community Dog Health. And this comes as a result of the fact that we might have the rabies centers of excellence that are now being able to do better work, better serve their communities, but they're still working with limited resources. And the Partners for Community Dog Health essentially is a geographical network bringing the rabies centers of excellence together and creating a unified workforce within geographical boundaries. And there's certain benefits to this approach that I do want to highlight. By bringing the organizations together and being able to share resources, work in a like-minded manner, and work towards a common goal, we'll be able to extend the reach and the impact of the individual NGOs. We want to improve coordination by reducing duplication of efforts. As an organization, GARC will seek financial support for additional and larger vaccination campaigns. But in general, we also want to look at the approach of by sharing resources, especially in the realm of rabies vaccine, a bulk purchase, combining the vaccine purchase amongst different stakeholders as a way to reduce the vaccination cost or the cost per dose of vaccine, meaning that organizations without spending additional money on vaccine can get more vaccine to the benefit of the communities that they serve. And yes, this is the plan for the future, but it's already underway and it's already something that's being implemented and investigated to the benefit of these organizations. But that being said, it's not too early for other organizations to join this movement. And it's not too early for individuals to become involved with the rabies centers of excellence within the country. So I invite you to learn more about this movement, which is not only operational in South Africa, but also in Nepal and Sri Lanka at this point in time. So please feel free to have a look at the website and learn more about this initiative. And I hope that it's something that can be emulated in other countries going forward, as the role of the NGO certainly is pivotal and something that should be fostered and nourished to the betterment of animal welfare at the community level. But thank you so much for the opportunity to present today. It's been a great pleasure, and I look forward to any questions that might arise. Thank you so much.